So hi everyone, thank you for joining again with feelingTERrific. Today I have another guest joining. I'm really glad that he has making the time, right? So I'm glad that he's here. He's basically also a colleague of mine. So it will be an interesting conversation because it is the first time that we are going freestyle. So we don't have a script or questions prepared or whatsoever. So we are just seeing how the flow will go. And over to you, Erkan.
Hi, Christian. Yeah, thanks for having me. So yeah, absolutely, completely unprepared, no script, no preparation, and just like we like it.
Perfect. However, so I mean, I think everyone who's joining or who's listening to this knows me kind of. So who are you?
Me, I am your colleague who is based in London. So yeah, no, I mean, I work as a senior talent sourcing, the talent sourcing team at ServiceNow from the UK. And 7 months since I've started my journey here at ServiceNow, but I was around this sort of ITSM ServiceNow space about 10 years, doing recruitment for our partners and other consulting companies across the UK and Europe. So I'm really glad to be a part of this rocket ship. So 7 months in, it definitely feels longer, but for all the right reasons. Yeah, for all the right reasons.
That's perfect. But maybe let's start with a good question then. I think maybe at least I think it's a good question. So
Okay.
why did you join and why are you still at ServiceNow?
Oh, why did I join ServiceNow? To be honest, it was my goal to kind of to see what my other options will be after being with the same company for 10 years, and I was really looking to maybe move into talent acquisition space. And I spent 10 years on the ITSM recruitment, digital transformation, and technology sales in general. And, I've been involved in the service ecosystem for 9 years. And I worked with a lot of people over the years, and I've seen how their career has progressed. I helped them with their career in the partner environment. And, obviously, when I started to kind of see what my options will be outside of my previous job, I really wanted ServiceNow to be the next sort of my option, because I was involved in that space for a long time. And of course, knowing ServiceNow as a company and knowing quite a few people that works at ServiceNow and the ServiceNow products, and so that could be a great opportunity. I'm glad that the hiring team felt the same, and then here we are, 7 months in. Why I'm still here?
That's the question.
I quite like it here.
But why?
It's a great company, and everyone's talking about the culture, etc. And yes, I think ServiceNow is one company that literally lives and breathes culture. And I think one thing I really like about this company and my team is in general is that the positivity. Everyone is really positive. And since the day I joined, I come from a very small company and a small team to a massive organization with a big team. I was very nervous, but then immediately after joining, that nervousness just kind of disappeared because everyone was just incredibly supportive. No matter what kind of questions I asked people, whether it was big, small, or silly, and everyone was like, yeah, straight away, there to help you. And then I think another thing that I really like about this company and the team is everyone generally believes in the mission of ServiceNow and the company itself. And that's coming from the management to our organization and talent acquisition. So, when you're working with a company that everyone generally believes in what they do and have that sort of positive atmosphere, then, you can't ask for a better environment than that, in my opinion. Yeah. And I think one thing that also kind of stood out for me is, I think I picked this up in a very early on in my journey at ServiceNow, is that how much the senior management of ServiceNow, coming from the CEO, that believes in the function of talent acquisition and how important our job is, and I think having that sort of respect and a belief from the senior team towards us is incredible. You're working with a company, we work in the senior management and organization that generally believes in what you do and the importance of what you do. So for me, these are the key criterias, and this is one of the things that I'm sticking around. So I'll probably stick around for a bit longer.
Lucky us, then, I would say. Yeah. No, but let me be a little bit critical here. So I mean, those are your words, right? And it sounded, I mean, the thing is, you can say it and you mean it, or you can say it and you don't mean it, right?
Yeah.
So maybe to, give a little bit more foundation to what you've just said, do you have one or two examples for us where you really think, okay, this is showing ServiceNow's culture or whatsoever?
Definitely. I mean, I can give a very basic example, to be honest, as to what's kind of been going on in the tech industry. You know, we've seen so many layoffs happening and redundancies. And, you know, I think that started pretty much sort of towards the second half of the year. And, you know, unfortunately, you know, when I joined in May, it was a quiet period in the summer. But then obviously, and then I've started to see a lot of layoffs happening in the talent acquisition world, you know, in the recruitment world in general. And you kind of get a bit panicked, to be completely honest, right? What's going to happen to us? Are we safe? And literally from my manager and from a manager's manager and even from the top, that the assurance they gave us as to, right, we're all about people, we're all about protecting the house. As one of our senior directors has said that word that sticks with me a lot, is that, you know, we're here to protect the house is the most important the value that ServiceNow has. And, you know, even though we've seen everything that's changing around us, but here is our talent acquisition team has been pretty much intact and still going strong. So that genuinely is one thing that I can give as an example as to how much ServiceNow generally cares about its employees. And I think that's very important, you know, and I never take things for granted, to be honest. And I think seeing what's happening around us, and you know, it's kind of reassuring what the ServiceNow is doing towards their employees. And I think, you know, this is going to be something that we will be obviously discussing with the candidates going forward in the future, right? Look, this is how ServiceNow treated employees and during the COVID times, and you know, this is how they treated our employees in the redundancy times and the recession times. You know, these are the things that is going to kind of define your future, in my opinion, as an employee and a company. So yeah, that will be my example to you, Christian. I think. What do you think? Because you're
that's a good question.
the same team as me. I'm confident that you probably agree with my statement, right?
I think I would agree with you. No, I agree with you totally. I mean, this is especially the thing with the layoffs, right? Yesterday, I think it was yesterday, Salesforce announced also 10% layoff of all the stuff, right? And you would think, okay, when it's us, when the ServiceNow coming and so on. I mean, so far so good. We don't have any layoffs and so on. But yeah, as you mentioned, the communication is at least providing a security, right? Assurance. I think trust is a very important word to mention here. And so far, I have trust within ServiceNow as a company per se, and the leadership and so on. So I think we are on the same page here.
Yeah. And I totally agree with what you just said in terms of trust. And, you know, I mean, having our senior vice president of talent acquisition constantly kind of arranging meetings on a bi-weekly, or even like at some point it was like, I think we had like a meeting every week for almost like during the whole 1 month, that, you know, just kind of assuring everyone, you know, we are not going anywhere. We're going to be fine. We're fine. And, you know, it's going to be much less work than last year. But, you know, I think that is, the communication the management has with us, not just us in talent acquisition team, and I think with the whole company in general is incredible. You know, I think that's what makes your culture, isn't it? Because everyone talks about it. But, you know, when I always talk about ServiceNow to candidates, like, you know what, we are two things. We're all about the people and we're all about the customers, you know? And then I think that just kind of resonates with me a lot. Definitely.
Yeah. Maybe let us have a different perspective now on you, I would say. I mean, we already mentioned that we are colleagues at ServiceNow, right? But I think we have a different function. So maybe give us a little, short intro. What do you do on a daily basis? What is it, what you're doing? Why are you so active on LinkedIn? Let us know all the secrets.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm a senior talent sourcer. So my role, different than yours, is that I look after the whole candidate function. So my job is to attract passive candidates, reach out to them, attract them, manage that whole candidate aspect of the recruitment process. And I think our role is that we usually go after the people that not necessarily looking for a job, but just kind of make them aware of a ServiceNow brand and manage the whole process up until they get to an interview and offer stage. And also kind of create candidate pipelines and proactive recruitment, etc., rather than just kind of being reactive to open roles. And so that's my function. And why I'm so active on LinkedIn, I think it's fantastic that you first build your own personal brand, so people know who you are and what you do at ServiceNow, so that it's nice that I reach out to candidates about roles, but it's very nice sometimes that when people come to me when they're looking for their next position, and then talking about the roles at ServiceNow. So I think it's good that you have that sort of an active status on LinkedIn, in my opinion. Yeah, definitely. I was like that before before ServiceNow as well. I think maybe I'm a bit more loud here now as well. So,
do you think that's a game changer, or at least a differentiator for yourself, as you mentioned, as a personal brand? And when it comes to a situation where the people are coming proactively to you, what do you say?
Yeah, because I'm in the customer outcomes area, which is this professional service part of the ServiceNow. So it's always very hard to fill and hard to find profiles. So it's nice to be able to kind of attract the talent to come into you. And I think it's important to kind of build relationship with the candidates, whether they're necessarily looking for a job right now or not, to kind of have that sort of an open communication, because it's going to make your life so much easier going forwards. And I generally feel that the things that we do on LinkedIn, not necessarily for our personal branding, but it's also a reflection of you and the company. And believe it or not, I've had a lot of people actually reached out to me and said that, what, you sound like really, really, really happy at ServiceNow, man. And, you're really positive. Like, what's going on? There must be great. You must be a great company. I'm like, yeah, it is. Just can't talk to us, So it's, let me tell you more about it. And, I think it's the way I see it. I think the recruiters and sources are the kind of the window into a company, right? Because they are the first person that you talk to. It's just like, right. And how you kind of come across the whole vibe and the atmosphere you give to people is literally like what's going to happen when you go into the process and you come join us, because I always tell candidates, I'm like, hey man, I can never lie to you because you're going to be my colleague.
That's a good point.
Together. I'm not running away from this.
That's a good point. I mean, also maybe one thing to add, what you've just mentioned, right? The people would also recognize when you are not honest with yourself, right?
Yeah.
Because at the end, you of course you're telling people stuff, for example, and it can be also marketing stuff, right?
Yeah.
But the thing is, do you stay behind it? Do you believe in it? And they really can feel and sense your emotions, I would say. And so, but maybe that's also a good intro to a different or to another question, right? Mm-hmm. So I assume you're quite successful. Please correct me if I'm wrong. But what would you say is your key to success?
Define successful as in successful in this role or previously or life in general. What do you mean?
Yeah, I would say now for ServiceNow in your role, right? But I mean, that's also a very good question. What does mean success? Maybe that's another question for after the answer you will provide.
I mean, I like to think I've done well, so far so good since I've joined. I always receive some good recommendations from the team or manager, good recognition. So I'm very happy about their comments. To be honest, I'll take everything on board. And why I'm become successful or why I've done good, I think I generally believe in what I do. I generally do believe in what I do, and I think that kind of reflects in the way I speak to people. And if I've learned one thing after the whole COVID time is that life is short, and I am just a very positive person in general. So I think, when you put two and two together, and especially my agency background is that I'm quite resilient. So I'm not the kind of a guy that will just take no for an answer. For me, it's like, no means not now, So which means that I will keep pursuing and I'll keep pushing. So, I think if you put the resilience, the positivity, and then the belief in what you do, is just like, it kind of creates a great combination for me to keep going. So, and I think me being successful in the job is not just me, it's just the whole team around you. I have a great relationship with the talent partners I work with. I've got a great relationship with my team, great support from my manager, great support from the other team's managers. This is all a combination, so when they put the trust in you and they say, look, you know what, we give you this project to you, we trust you to deliver it, then I'll do everything in my power to get it done. So I think that is, for me, it's this the whole combination of things that I am going to be successful in this job. So I don't think I can say that I'm successful yet, but I like to believe I've done well, So,
but Erkan, you're still here, so something you have to do right.
Everything right.
That's true, but in a different sense. So nowadays, it's talked that, or it is being said that recruiters or sourcers or whatever person in this department is working for is the job is similar to a salesperson, right? What do you say? Is it totally the same, or are there nuances which are different?
I think it's definitely, because yes, maybe we're not selling a product. What we're selling is a dream and an opportunity, right? In my opinion, whether you're a recruiter, a sourcer, or a 360, your job is constantly selling to the other person. When I say selling, is that maybe the person I'm talking to is not really necessarily in the market for a new role, but then when you kind of talk about the possibilities and opportunities and the future growth, etc., when you pitch someone a role or the company, this is selling in a way, and it's not like, hey, you're buying it today or tomorrow. It's like, right, this is what we have and this is what we are all about. That's, in my opinion, is all part of one big sales pitch, right? Maybe not necessarily like selling the product like our team does in the tech area, but in a way, for me, this is really all about the part of the sales pitch that we have. So, yeah. What do you think? What are your thoughts? Because you do a lot of sales and pre-sales recruitment yourself. So would you agree?
Yeah. I would agree with you. I don't know the word in English, but there's a saying in German, when you try to say for a different role, something which is when you think the other side, but you don't. It's a little bit complex, and sorry for the confusion, but I would say it is the same. The approach might be different, right? But the common thing is also that we are dealing with humans.
Yeah.
And the humans are making the decision then, etc. But as you mentioned, it's But what's driving you in your role? I mean, you mentioned it already. You're kind of changing people's lives, right?
Yeah.
Why are you waking up every day and doing this job? Why do you love the job? Besides ServiceNow, of course.
Yeah, I mean, I genuinely love. This is gonna, like, people might think like no one actually ever said that, but I genuinely do like recruitment, and like helping people to get the roles that they really wanted, or kind of being the bridge between the two, between the roles and the opportunity, and also I genuinely love building teams. It just gives me a great satisfaction when I fill a vacancy for whether it was my client in the previously or here at now ServiceNow, and then just kind of look back and say, hey, look, we built this team together, and we hired this very hard to fill a role, and and that buzz that gives me is what gets me up in bed, really. And I always tell my manager, and I told my previous manager as well, hey, if I ever lose that excitement, that I don't feel nothing now when I place the candidate to a role, it is now for me to look for a new job. I haven't lost that yet, but you will see. So maybe I'll give myself another few years. But yeah, that is literally what gets me up in bed, you know. And then also, I don't really take things for granted, you know. Yes, I had a great career in 10 years, like for 10 years in one company. I'm having a great time here at ServiceNow. But you really need to keep pushing. You really need to keep learning, and you know, you need to make sure that you do the right things, because what Bill McDermott said, right? It takes a long time to build trust, but that you can lose it immediately, right?
Yeah.
And there's another thing that I always have in mind, you know, just because I've done well doesn't mean that I'm going to continue to do well, but you need to keep pushing and keep growing and keep learning.
Yeah. So, sorry.
Yeah. No.
Don't want to interrupt, you know, but I just wanted to add. So you mentioned taking things not for granted. I think that's a really, really, really important skill or mindset or whatever, because it's also combined with being grateful, right?
100%.
So although you have success, although you're healthy and you might have everything, but taking it not for granted is quite essential. Also, I would say for happiness.
Yeah.
But when it comes to you and being grateful, what are you most grateful for? Now the deep questions are coming. So,
what you mean about I'm really grateful for the opportunity that I got given. I'll be completely honest. You know, it's a great company, and it was a great team, and I really like the job, and I'm very grateful for the opportunity. And I think from day one, I've always wanted to make an impact. You know, I said that to my manager on a few occasions, and I think a few people in my team was that when I first joined ServiceNow, and we had a QBR, and it was my first ever QBR. It was like second week or the third week or something. So you know, and the previous quarter was a very big quarter for ServiceNow. It was great, it was successful. So I sat on that QBR as a newbie, you know, I've just kind of done my onboarding, and then I'll see everyone is like, wow, we've done an X amount of placement, it's like 100% over target, and that person's done fantastic well. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, do you know what? I need to up my game here, you know. I'm grateful for the opportunity, but you got to have to, you know, to up your game and make an impact. So,
how did you make sure you accelerated your game? What was your approach?
I wanted to learn as much as possible, to be honest, because I knew the job. You know, I knew the roles that we were recruiting. I know recruitment. I know how the process works. But there is a different process internally than the agency side. So what I really wanted to do is, right, how does engine works here? What is it? What are the processes? What is my job and responsibilities to what degree? You know, how I wanted to follow that process to the T. And that was my main goal, right? Okay, I want to learn this. And the second, my goal was like, I need to build trust and relationship with everyone around me. You know, yes, people think, yeah, this guy knows what he's doing, but you don't know me yet because we haven't worked together. So that was my second goal. I wanted to be that person. I wanted to get to a position where people can trust me and say, right, okay, you will get it done, you know? And so that was my really primary two goals. How I achieved it? I think so. I like to think so. You know, there's a long way to go still, of course, but
Sure.
yeah, so far so good. I'll put it that way. Yeah. So good.
So good for you. Maybe a question from a different perspective again. Okay. So do you have an example for us where you had a good relationship? So, I mean, when you start a relationship, there's always trust up front, kind of, right? But do you have an example here at ServiceNow or also prior to ServiceNow where there was a situation where it was being lost, but where you got it again?
I'm not sure if I've had that here yet. I'll have to think, to be honest. It wasn't the trust per se, but I mean, we've had a scenario where I think it was my third or fourth offer that we made it to a candidate for one of the sales roles, and I think it was a done deal. We thought it was a done deal, and it was all signed and everything. And then I'll find out afterwards that the person has changed his mind, and then, you know, it was no longer happening. And then I'm like, right, okay. And I kind of made it my own mission to, like, I'm not going to have a fallout on anyone who's at the offer stage. So I pushed it really hard with the talent partner I'm working with. Shout out, and I think he knows who he is. And then I'm like, right, okay, do you know what? I'm going to fill this job because it's become personal for me. and we did it. You know, it's a bit of resilience, like I said to you before. You know, about me, like I'll take no for an answer. Like it's like for me, it's like my motto is like fill the role or die trying. So you know, so that was the kind of situation where it left us in a very difficult position as well with the hiring team, because it was very urgent. So like, right, okay, go back to square one, do everything again, and then voila, we managed to fill that role, and the person started, so everyone is happy. So. Well, I'm sure there will be a lot more stories to come on that as I go along. Yeah, definitely.
There will be also definitely a second episode from our conversation. So
yeah,
let's see what's coming then. But we're also living in post COVID time, right? And you started during COVID, kind of, if I'm not mistaken. And you had in the UK, in the UK, and a Christmas party, right? So what do you think, or what would you say, how important was it for you to really arrive at ServiceNow having this party? Or maybe it wasn't important at all.
What, to have a Christmas party, you mean?
Yes. So the thing is, you started during COVID, right?
No, I actually started May this year, so it wasn't really during the COVID time. So it was 2020.
Was already post-COVID then?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we already passed COVID, but you know,
time flies.
I know, yeah, but I mean, so maybe I'll to answer your question in terms of like maybe having a sort of a team get together or team outing is. I mean, I'm very lucky enough to be able to go to the first Christmas party in the first 7 months. And I'm also very lucky to actually, it's a sad story because we had to say goodbye to one of our senior managers who moved on to a different role, and we had a team outing again in the UK to go out with everyone. That was like my second month or something, you know, and I got to see everybody, and I got to have a drink and have fun with everyone, you know, on my first 6-7 months in the company. So you know,
lucky you.
I wasn't isolated, so you know, and I had my team, buddy, Catherine, that I go to the office with, so pretty early on. So and then, you know, because every time she goes to the office, I always tell her, I'm going to come with you because I can sit next to you and ask you all the silly questions that I wouldn't get to ask people. And then she was very helpful, to be honest. So she helped me out a lot. And I think having that sort of human interaction in the office environment is very important. And I think what ServiceNow does is to give that flexibility to people to choose their own hours and your workplace. And believe it or not, in our office in London and States, sometimes you don't find a place to sit down because everyone wants to go in and engage with others, you know, which is great because you're not obliged to do it. You just choose to do it. You know, that's different things.
I think that's also, at least for me, it's kind of, I would say kind of crucial when choosing an employer that you have that it's your own choice, right? Do I want to go to the office today or not, tomorrow or whenever? Because I think, at least for me, it has an impact on my mind.
Yeah.
When it has impact on my mind, I might not be that engaged, that motivated, that intrinsic motivated. I might not have the results I could bring, etc., right? So would you agree, or what are your thoughts?
100%. I think, you know, my previous job, I was already working from home before COVID. So we started to kind of have a remote work approach back in summer 2018. So I was kind of working from home and then traveling around and seeing people and stuff. But, you know, I'm working from home here, but I'm lucky to live in central London, so I can go to the office in London, and Staines not too far. And I choose to go once a week.
Which one is your favorite, London or Staines?
I like the city one, I'll tell you what, because it's easy for me to get to. I walk from Waterloo to the office, a nice walk alongside the river in South Bank. Okay. And then I will get home in 20 minutes. But I like the office in Staines as well, because there's a lot of people from our talent acquisition team goes there, and then, you know, you sit down with them and then, you know, hang out and stuff. But I'm not going to lie, it's very hard to get any work done, you know, when you're in office with too many of your colleagues.
Yeah,
everyone's got a great relationship with each other. It's just like the chit chat and that the atmosphere is great. So when I have too many meetings, of course, I don't go into the office.
But the good thing is, now we know that you are good in providing political answers.
Yeah, political, but it's the truth, right? Maybe I'm
That's
in a
true.
position, yeah. I'm definitely a sales guy.
What would you say? How important is for you the topic recharge and disconnect?
In recruitment, I think is crucial. I mean, I think it probably in any role is important. And, I think one thing I didn't do in my previous job is that I didn't have two phones. I think I've talked about this maybe in a separate conversation once, having that two separate mobile phones. The one is completely for work and the one is for personal only. And, when evening comes or the weekend comes and, when I don't look at work because I don't need to, that kind of helps me to kind of clear my head and then just completely recharge. Or even when I go on a holiday, I don't need to take my work phone. I don't need to do anything related to work. I didn't do that in my previous job. It was all in one phone. It was constant go, go, go. And I got advised by my colleagues and team, my manager as well, that keep it separate. You have an allowance and, you have the options, keep it separate. And I'm glad I did that because I think it's extremely important because, we have a very stressful job. We deal with people. We work to deadlines and, our job requires a lot of attention to detail. So every little sort of mistake you can make can cause big consequences, So I think it's important that, you kind of take yourself out of situations sometimes when you're not feeling great and just, go and have fun and, maybe go get some air and go for a run. I think that's very, very important. And I think ServiceNow has done that really well to our employees. We got meetings on our calendars to say, hey, this is for, non-meeting zone and, no one has meetings at this times, or we get given well-being days, which is fantastic. 6 days off when everyone is just enjoying themselves with their family and friends or whatever. I mean, I think ServiceNow is definitely investing in people's mental health because they know that happy employees, happy company. So, and for me, that's very important as well. I think recharging and then just kind of disconnected from your job is just extremely important.
Yeah. What kind of activities or hobbies do you have so where do you recharge your batteries, or with what activities do you recharge your batteries?
Well, there's two things. I my manager's gonna laugh at this. I like running, one, because I go for a run quite often, and that's one thing I always do after work during the week. And my other favorite activities that I kind of like, living in London and being in England for 17 years, I like my pubs, after work beers or weekend beers and all that kind of stuff. It's important.
Would you say it's a known culture with the pubs?
Well, in the city it starts from Thursday, but Friday after work, yeah, 100%, yeah. It's regardless. It's like but I'm doing dry Jan now, so I promised myself to not have a drink for 5 weeks. So ask me again in 5 weeks' time, and I'll see how that went.
I will.
But yeah, I like walking around as well. To be honest with you, I'm a very, very outgoing person, so I like socializing with friends, and I like running. And I live in Battersea because I have 2 big parks around me. So
now the question, Erkan. So when you do your runs, when you do your walks, what's your favorite podcast you're listening?
Oh, if you're thinking about me listening to some motivation podcasts, I actually don't do that, to be honest. I should, but I always listen my Spotify. So I have a playlist of all kind of tunes and soundtracks on that. So I just put Spotify because I call that.
That's the wrong answer, Erkan. You have to work on that one.
I'm just being completely honest.
Much appreciated.
Yeah. But to be honest, me running is like me recharging and completely being myself. When I put my music and I just go for a run and in my own hours, in my own distance, in my own location, it's just like, right, it's
different, yeah.
It's different, yeah. So I got a lot of cheesy tunes that I listen on Spotify. Everything from, I don't know, Linkin Park to David Guetta.
Okay, what's your favorite then?
My favorite music?
Yeah, your favorite music you're tuning in when you walk, when you run.
I listen to Clapton a lot, the DJ. Actually, he's German. I love his tunes. He's one of my favorite now. I've listened to his podcasts. And, I kind of like all kind of music, to be honest, but I'm more of a sort of house music, tech house type. Yeah. I did my fair share of partying over the years. So, but I'm way too old for that now. So,
so when will we go to Tomorrowland then?
Let's go this year. Never been. Let's go. Do it. Let's just put it on the calendar.
Yeah, let's ask for PTO then.
Definitely. Yeah, we'll do it on the Wellbeing weekend, and then hopefully we'll just you don't have to ask for PTO. You know. Yeah, that's a Wellbeing day, isn't it? You know, you're out celebrating life. So.
That's true. That's true. Just letting go everything, kind of.
Absolutely.
Yeah, maybe another where I'm curious to get your thoughts on continuous learning, right? Maybe from one perspective, from a mindset perspective. So, what's your approach on that topic? But also, when it comes to continuous learning per se, how do you make sure to keep in that kind of state of continuous learning?
I think in my area in the ServiceNow industry, in the customer outcomes, it's important to keep up with the workflows that we have and the technology that we use, etc. And then what I've actually started to do is my ServiceNow fundamentals course, because I really wanted to learn the products. You know, I wanted to kind of understand what it is, what it does, and get in more detail. And that is one thing that I've been doing. Actually, I'm not going to lie, I've been slacking that a little bit. So that's one thing that I genuinely want to get done. And then from then on, I want to progress into more what other parts of the products I can learn, whether it's going to be the pre-sales or the sales. And the reason I want to do that is, and I also I read a lot of articles on social talent about the talent acquisition and recruitment in general. But I really want to focus on the ServiceNow product training in general. This is my goal this year, is because I really want to learn as much as possible. And I think it's very important for my mindset to learn about the product, and it's just learn something new and new technology, because it just makes my conversation with the candidates so much better. And see where your career takes you. I mean, I've had that a question a couple of times actually, is that, whether I want to work as a technical consultant. And that's not the case. But I think learning that is incredibly important for me. So that's my goal, really. So that's what I'm going to get done. And then I want to get that done, and then to see if I can do my CSS certification, you know, to be an expert. So that's my primary goal. Yeah.
Thank you, Erkan. Now I'm feeling bad because I won't do that.
Honestly, I think we're so lucky because we've got so much learning and training opportunities, like the new learning program called Fred. It's just everything is there. I need to play around with it because there's so much more I think that we can do. You know, I've did a course, for example, on storytelling with presentation, provided by ServiceNow. It was incredible when they tied it up with the filmmaking. You know, so when you got storytelling and filmmaking, it says every scene in the movie has a meaning, and it has to have a meaning. It's just like every slide or every word you put on a presentation has to have a meaning. You know. And I'm like, that's fantastic. So everything you even write has to have some sort of a point, you know? So that training that even the provider to us, it was like, even for like a few hours or an hour, it's just incredibly important. That sticks with you, you know? So what we want to do my next presentation is going to be a fantastic storytelling.
Hashtag no pressure. So we'll see. No, but that's indeed a good point. I mean, storytelling per se is also important for your role, right? So yeah, no waste of time.
Absolutely. No. Yeah. I mean, you know, it's great that actually the company and my manager, but they very much encourage learning and training opportunities. You know, take time, an hour a day or something in your work hour to actually do some training, self-development, whatever it is. You can choose that as well. You know, I choose to learn service fundamentals. Some of my team members might choose to learn, I don't know, Microsoft Office or further talent acquisition kind of techniques, sourcing, etc. You know, of course, I'll do it on the side, but that's what I really wanted to kind of focus on. So it's incredibly important, and it's great for business to say, all right, you choose what you want to kind of learn and self-develop. I think that's great from business to us as well.
Yeah. Maybe a different thing. What do you think about the World Cup regarding England and Germany? Let us know your thoughts.
I mean, Germany, yeah, you guys done all right. Could have done better, let's be honest. But, you know, maybe they didn't perform that well. But there's always next one. England, don't ask. You know, I mean, I'd rather lose the game in 90 minutes, not on penalties or overtime. It's just
Yeah.
with like the last Euro Cup when the last penalty was just not good, and then we lost it again to a penalty. It was kickoff, and it's like, oh no, it's just. But at least we lost to a team that went to the final and lost Argentina on the penalties. So. But it was a great watch, though. I really enjoyed the whole tournament. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to the next one. I'm looking forward to Euros now, actually, as well. So England is doing really well. If you look at the recent achievements, the final, semi-final, quarter-final. So it's a very sort of big contender in the tournaments now. So, yeah, let's see. We got so close so far. Maybe we'll win the next one.
Let's see.
I don't know. Maybe we'll do a Germany-England final, right?
Yeah, hopefully not, because I'm not so confident about Germany, to be honest. But when we have a look at Germany from a different perspective, right? So basically they are knocked out, right? And they have to stand up again for the Euro you mentioned. What do you think? I mean, did you have such a situation so far where you have been knocked out and where you have to get self-confidence also again?
Of course, I mean, I think before ServiceNow, when I got down, it's like I think it was 2020, when the COVID hits, in my previous role, I've had a very bad year. I mean, most people actually had a very bad year, but I took that very personally, actually, in terms of my billing and then the amount of placements I've done. And it was just like, right, what's just happened this year? I took that very personally. I actually kind of blamed myself. I'm like, what is it that I've done wrong? That affected me a lot mentally and personally. And I'm gonna give a big shout out to my ex-boss here, because he supported me all the way through that year, and said, right, okay, you've done this. It's quite not good, but everyone else has done the same. So it's not you, Erkan, it's the market. So don't lose believe in yourself and your abilities, because all the way through over the years you've done really well. And the next year I came back with that motivation, and I've had one of the best years I've had in the business in 2021. I think sometimes if I've learned anything in recruitment and life in general, I think maybe in professional life in general, do not take things personal. And, you can always come back from it. Honestly, you can always come back from it. And that's exactly what I've did. I mean, it took me a while to kind of recover from that towards the end of 2020, but then 2021 was my best year ever. So, but yeah. When life knocks you down, and get up, say hello, and then just keep going. So
that's a good point. So would you agree then when I say a good manager, besides the expertise in the field and so on, is empathy, emotional intelligence, and really the intrinsic motivation for the employee?
100%. I mean, you have to be a people's manager. You need to be able to know how to talk to people. You need to be able to read their emotions. You need to be able to understand their feelings and whatnot, and, empathy is important. I think we're lucky to have people, managers like that. I mean, I'm very lucky to have worked with people like that in the last 11 years of my career. I think especially in the talent acquisition of recruitment in general, you can't work with people who just want numbers. That's great, important because you run a business, but you need to be empathetic towards people. And to be honest, if my manager at the time wasn't really supportive and then just put him into the ground and then just only focus on that 1 year without looking to my previous achievements, that will probably knock me down, and maybe I wouldn't stay there. But that wasn't the case. I got up and said, right, okay, let me prove it. That was a one-off. I wouldn't have ever done that without supporting my manager. Definitely. It all would come down to you. But like I said, the mental support around you from your team and everyone is just incredibly important. Because I think, it's not just an individual role. It's an individual role, but it's also an extremely important to realize that it's a teamwork. The team around you is what makes it important. And one of my colleague, Kathy, actually said one thing which I will resonate and I agree with 100%. And she said, I'm as good as people around me, the team around me. And it's true, right? So
Yeah.
when you support each other, when you kind of have fun together, then anything is achievable. So
Yeah. No, I'm totally with you. When I think about my professional life so far, I would also say that don't lose trust in yourself and that what you can do, because your performance or productivity or whatsoever depends also on the environment. And environment is the manager, the team, blah blah blah, right? So I'm totally with you. So that can have a huge impact on you, but also on the mental side. And I think also when it comes to all the layoffs which are happening in tech recently, I think besides other things, of course, one thing what is important for the people who have been laid off to remember that it's not them. It's a business decision and they are good in what they are doing. Otherwise, they would not have been hired in the first place, right?
yeah,
And this is, for example, also what I had during my ServiceNow journey so far. I also had a time where it was kind of a down, right? And I was also coming out stronger of it, thanks to my manager and also to my buddy and partner in crime, Jutta. So greetings, by the way. But what she also mentioned was also to remember why you were hired, right? I think this sounds like a simple sentence, but when you really think about it deeply and take it personally, then you can come out stronger. And this is so interesting. And also when it comes to psychology and so on. But yeah, at the end, it's a bunch of a lot of stuff.
yeah, absolutely. And I think sometimes even better motivation than the compensation itself, the mental support, it's very important. I think when you get that full support from your manager, your peers, or your teams, all you want to do is just give 110%. And when you give you 110%, and then you'll achieve anything that comes your way. I'm not one of those motivational speaker types, but but I genuinely believe in that.
Go for it.
I genuinely believe in it, and I think it's like having the right support, and having the right mindset, and and the mindset doesn't come with just what you say to yourself. Yes, you have to believe in yourself, but then obviously you have to listen to people around you. When I first started, I had people around me like, hey, what's your observation of me? Am I doing anything wrong? Can I get any better? What is it that I do wrong? What is it that I do right? I always ask these questions to people, and I wanted to leave their observation, and I take that on board. So, I always thought I'm doing well, but maybe they don't think I'm doing well. Maybe I'm doing something wrong. Maybe
let me add one word to what you've just mentioned, right? Vulnerability. What do you think this word is playing a part in what you've just said?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you need to put yourself out there, right? You need to put yourself out there. You need to ask the question to people, and you need to listen. Everyone is vulnerable. And I think it's important to be able to take criticism. It's, I think that's something that, I've learned over the years, especially when I first started here at ServiceNow in my previous role. I think, the recruitment is like an emotional roller coaster, right?
I don't agree with you. No.
it's just a roller coaster. So we're all kind of vulnerable at some point, at some stages. It's incredible that one day you wake up, it's like, yeah, I'm having a great day, and you get one email and it just ruins everything. So, but yeah, I mean, what can I say? Yeah, I mean, it's been a great journey so far, and I think it's very hard to do this without having the right support and advice and from people. And that's what I would recommend to everyone, to be honest. Don't be afraid to ask observations from people, and then just kind of don't be afraid to kind of ask people's opinion and how to self-improve. So I think these are very important things in self-development and the career progression, in my opinion. Would you agree?
Totally. I mean, I agree with you with everything you've just mentioned. I think without vulnerability, and this is obviously also combined with taking feedback, right? Ideally constructive feedback. So I think this is also something which the people have to learn and be aware and sensible of it, right? But being able to take it, you don't have to, you don't have to accept it in kind of way, but you have to take it, think about it, and hopefully not too long if it's crap. But if it's reasonable, then ideally a little bit longer, right? And take it, deal with it, learn from it, and do it better then, right? Just with that, learning or personal development per se is possible. Otherwise, not.
Absolutely. I think, you said it right. Learn from it. You can just ask people for observation, but if you're not actually taking anything on board and not really learning from it. And then I've kind of started to observe myself, actually. I've had a few things that I've heard from my team, so nothing negative or anything, but like, right, okay, I think they might be right, take that on board and, actually listen to yourself. And then I started to observe myself actually when I was working, I'm like, oh, right, okay, I think she was right, and
I think now we are curious. I'm sorry for interrupting, Erkan, but do you have an example?
Oh, do you know what? I actually, one of my, I use a name. Someone actually I work with.
Oh yeah, no names.
Okay, well, I was told that man, when I went very early on at ServiceNow, that I was still too agency, and the reason being is that because when I was representing a candidate to the client and I talked about the candidate, I was kind of pushing too hard, because if I believe in the candidate, I will push it no matter what, because I spoke to that person. I know what they're capable of, So I kind of was doing that a little bit maybe, and my colleague said to me, like, okay, you don't need to do that, the job is done. You don't need to do that. I get your point, but like, just kind of like maybe just to calm it a little bit in a way. And then I think she was right. I think they were right. So, and maybe, and I still do that anyway, but I think they know exactly why I do it. It's, we all want to make sure that we make an impact. And, if we actually believe in something that, we'll just want to make sure that we're heard, So, I think maybe I got a little bit softer, but I don't think that side of me is ever going to change. Because like I said, it's resilience, right? So taking no for an answer and just trying to staying positive and keep moving forward. So yeah, I did take that on board though. Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's definitely good for you, I would say. But I don't have any other topics, to be honest. So I'm out of my repertoire. But anything we didn't cover?
What's on your mind? Question. So what do you think about ServiceNow in general? And then, obviously you've been here longer than me. And then how do you sort of see us going? And then, what do you like the most about your job, Christian? Let me flip the script and then interview you.
I thought it would be an easy conversation, but now it's turning around. Good point. Okay, good question. So if I'm losing track of the question, please guide me towards the right one. But it has been definitely quite a mental ride with ServiceNow, right? So no regret joining. Still convinced it was the right decision joining. The reason why I joined, I already explained in a different episode, but as I asked you, the more important thing or more interesting thing is why I'm still here, right? And I'm still here because, as you also mentioned, the team is great, right? I really have the feeling that every person, and especially my manager and also my buddy, really believe in me, right? And this is also one example I already mentioned is the comment, remember why we hired you or why you have been hired or whatsoever. I mean, she didn't have to mention it, right? She also could have said, similar to your case, Christian, we're letting you go or something like that, right? But it wasn't the case. But also when it comes to the hiring methodology, I would say, or the approach, hire for talent, train for skills. I think this is something which is not just important now, but especially when we have a look also per se, but also in Germany with the demographic evolution, if I'm not mistaken, the wording. It's becoming more critical that the companies have this kind of approach, right? Because you don't find you won't find the 110% candidate or whatsoever. And in my case, I was, or the ServiceNow was looking for the first recruiter in the region, right? On paper, 7+ years of full recruiting cycle experience, which I obviously didn't have. But at the end, they were, convinced by the attitude, I would say. Alia, correct me if I'm wrong, but and it's just a great place to be, I would say. It's a company which is having a solution or an offering which has purpose, right? And I think this is, at least for me, that's also very important, right? So when I talk to people, I don't have the feeling that I'm selling crap. Of course, I'm selling the company in kind of a way, but if I would work for a company which would have a product or an offering which doesn't provide value in terms of a purpose, then I would not feel comfortable, right?
Yeah.
And and another thing is, we already talked about it in the beginning, that ServiceNow didn't have layoffs so far. So that's also quite a statement nowadays, I would say.
100%. And I think, going back to kind of like whether our role as a sales pitch or not, it's all about the relationship building, right? This job is literally all about relationship building, because I believe in people will buy things from people that they trust.
Yeah.
We're able to build that trust with people, especially with us on the candidate side, is that am I able to reflect that positivity with my LinkedIn posts? And I don't post things because I need to, because it's just how I feel, and I always try to let a humor, because it's just me, because I'm just a very sarcastic guy, as is. My team will know that,
You don't say.
I just like to have fun, and I'm a positive person in general. So yeah, I mean, it's all about, and I believe in what you just said as well. Like, I'm not selling crap. I believe in what I'm selling, because if I didn't believe what I'm selling, you will hear it in my voice.
Yeah,
it will appear that
you would sense it.
I'm just reading a script. Do you want to buy it or not? You don't? All right, next one.
No.
Because I don't think anyone in our talent acquisition team is that built like that. It's just because we all believe in what we're doing. Going back to where the first thing I've said, we all believe in the mission, we all believe in the product, we all believe in the company, because we know the company believes in us.
Yeah.
Right. So
you know what I think is funny, when interested people are asking me, for example, what's making ServiceNow special, or why are you still with ServiceNow, or why did you join, or whatsoever, then I would say, or at least the experience I have when I was talking to other companies, right, with other recruiters and so on, usually they were talking about marketing stuff, kind of, right? And I'm going to provide my personal experiences, right?
Yeah.
I will also tell what is not so good, or at least what is not so working well, what we are working on, and so on. And I think the authenticity is also quite well received, right? I mean, I assume you would be looking for authentic answers when you would talk to a recruiter, right? Or to a manager. It's the same thing. So,
yeah, no, 100%. Going back to my very first conversation, actually, when I interviewed with ServiceNow, and I immediately, when I spoke to somebody, was one of my first conversation was that with one of our senior managers. I immediately sensed the questions they were asking, the atmosphere in the interview, and then the vibe was like, right, it feels right, and I've had interviews when I when I was sort of in that transition in talent acquisition, and I had interviews when I felt like in 10 minutes into the conversation, I just wanted to get out of that conversation. You know, I think we are recruiters, and I've been doing this for almost 11 years now. So you have that intuition as to, does this feel right or does it not? You know, and you know, you kind of feel that. So, and I get that from the candidates now as well when I'm talking to them. You know, right? Okay, are you going to be right fit to us, or does this feel right? Because I think you kind of build that experience and intuition. You know, I think that only comes with the experience, and then having to talk to like thousands of people over the years. But let me ask you one more question, Christian. So what prompted you to start this podcast? You know,
Can you say it again?
what prompted you to start this podcast? What was the goal? And where do you see this going? Let's say, you know, do we want to get more people involved from ServiceNow? Do we want to do something different? And what's the end game?
Oh, now the tough questions are coming. I like it, Erkan. I like it. So the purpose starting the podcast in the first place was kind of going out of the comfort zone, right? Trying to start something new, trying to proactively deal with something where I'm not perfect, right? For example, my English, but also when it comes, but it's not my native language, right?
Right.
Yeah. No, but so thank you for that. But language is one thing, but also when it comes to copywriting, right? But also building the personal brand is also one thing. But also, and this is maybe one of the most important reasons why I started the podcast, is having talks with interesting people. And with interesting, I don't mean necessarily CEOs or whatsoever. So the title is not that important, right? It's more about the story the people are telling or talking about. And I mean, this is also a reason why I like being a recruiter, right? I talk to a lot of people, a lot of different stages in their careers, from junior to senior. But also, I mean, this is one thing, right? Junior and senior from a job perspective, but it's also where they are in their personal lives, right? So do they have a family? They are taking things differently. Are they separated, or did they leave their home country and working now in Germany or whatsoever, right? So there are stories behind it, and that's very interesting. And that's kind of, I would say, the reason. Where it's going, let's see. So I'm currently taking a copywriting course in Udemy for Business. ServiceNow is providing access to it, so thank you, ServiceNow, for that. But try to be experimental when it comes to LinkedIn, for example. I think this is also something which can be developed, and but I think also what's crucial for the podcast per se is, I don't know if you heard about that quote. I also can't remember from which person it was and how it was exactly, but basically it's about the balance between patience and passion, and how impatience can have negative impact on your success, whatever success is meaning, right? And that's very interesting. So I also had some experience in the past where my impatience was harmful. So I tried to get the right balance, right? Let's see. Let's see where the podcast is going.
Fantastic. Maybe we'll get someone from the P4 to come talk to you as well. You know.
Let's see. Yeah.
You know, never say never.
No.
Always aim high.
That's true.
And let me one last question, completely outside the topic now, because this is something that I'm trying for the business. Okay, and I've been asked to do, but I want someone else's opinion on this. AI in recruitment. What do you think? Why is all this sort of like questions always asked, like, hey, artificial intelligence is going to replace recruiters and X, Y, Z. What's your take? Like, I'm really curious.
I think so. To take it up front, right? I'm not the expert within this field.
Yeah.
However, I did write my bachelor thesis about AI in the recruitment, and especially when it comes to recognizing speech, right, and analyze it and learn from it, etc. So I think it has kind of up to a certain extent, huge potential, right? So, for example, in first conversations could be done via AI, for example. Taking it from there, I would say it's still with us, right?
Yeah.
But it also depends on the company and what kind of target audience you're trying to reach, right? So, for example, is it a very senior role where it is very complex what you're looking for, etc., then it might not be ideal, right? But for example, when it's kind of a mass recruiting, I don't know if that's the right wording, then it might be good to save time for the recruiters, right? And then to be more specific with the after work, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So up to a certain extent, it could be good, because I mean it's very interesting, right? Nowadays, I can't remember the companies who are already out there, but there are companies already out there who are having a solution which you can use and which can tell you kind of the things between the sentences. So, for example, what kind of emotional state this person is or has, right? What she might mean with something, and so on and so on. And that's very interesting. So I think it's a topic which is also combined to an ethical piece. So we have also to be cautious about that. But I mean, the thing is, let's be open for it. I mean, otherwise, we would be stuck in the 15th century or something.
Yeah.
So that's my opinion.
Absolutely. I think automating part is good if to maybe just kind of take some of the manual processing and from us. But I mean, the way I see it, I don't think the AI can do what we do, because our job is all about human interaction and human emotions and trying to understand what they want and how they feel, and then try to be able to react to situations in the best possible way and in the best times, because I think that's what recruitment is all about, to understand and get a sense of the situation and just kind of react to it. If AI can do that, then we are on a big problem anyway. This is like the Skynet has entered the chat. So, we're talking about the whole Terminator doomsday. So, well, we'll see. If they're able to program themselves anyway, we are in a big problem. So.
Yeah, but I mean, the thing is, our jobs won't be redundant, right? It will be evolved, and I think evolvement is quite good, because otherwise, you also won't develop yourself, right? Whatever that might mean and be. But I'm with you on that.
Yeah, 100%. I guess we're gonna have to wait and see what the next few years is going to bring, because technology is evolving constantly, and I think I'm just in a way glad to be working in the technology area for a company in the software industry, because you are able to kind of follow things quite closely. That's one of the reasons I wanted to do the ServiceNow fundamentals course, because I just want to learn as much as possible and the tech side of things. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to what it's going to bring. I'm trying this new tool called Chat GBT that everyone is talking about, and I'm not going to lie, that tool is a bit scary with what it can do.
Why is it scary?
I mean, it's incredible that it's able to kind of analyze the whole internet and give you answers. And then, I've asked about how do you do this project, and all that I knew the answer, and it gave me the exact answer that I would write. The AI tool, and then just wrote me some funny stories and stuff as well when I asked for it. I'm just like kind of gave it a go just quite recently. But it's incredible what it can do, and it's just, I think it just came onto the market. I think there's this kind of, there's still room to grow in that, and in my opinion, I think we could use it as a bit of like a Google, in terms of searching and what does that do, what's that does, and how does that work, and what kind of questions should I ask this person, and that person, or just kind of like, right, I've received this email, what the emotions in the email is going to be, and an AI is able to tell you that. So it's incredible. And I've messaged my manager. I'm like, I like this tool. I'm also a bit scared. So, I have mixed emotions, honestly. That's what I want someone else from my team to actually try it as well, because I'm very much in between as to like, right, okay, where is this going to go? I'm sure it's going to make our life so much easier at some point. But, I'm also kind of like, in a way, the technology is getting way too advanced. The AI is just the next thing. So,
yeah. Taking it for a simpler use case, what do you think about a transcription software? So when you record the conversation, there will be a transcript, and then you can search for keywords and and you will get an automated summary out of that.
I think that's incredible, to be honest. I barely use not pen and paper. And I don't think I can't even read my own handwriting, actually, because I haven't used it like that, to be honest. I'll just write everything on a piece of on a computer immediately when I'm talking to people and stuff. So I think, recording a conversation and letting that conversation translate into a transcript is incredible, so that you don't need to focus on writing or taking notes. You can just focus on the conversation, and you know that you're going to be able to go back to the conversation and read about it. I think is incredible. I think for me, that excites me more than the AI, to be completely honest. Because I think focusing on the outcome of the conversation rather than trying to take notes, I think during the conversation is much better. I think for me, that's an incredible tool. I mean, I've received a voicemail from Zoom the other day, and I couldn't understand what the person was saying, and Zoom would just transcribe it for me. I'm like, oh, right, okay. That's incredible. That's how advanced technology is. So I'd like to see that evolve and progress further, actually. Definitely. Yeah, because I think that is going to be a game changer for our industry. In recruitment in general, I think in any industry in general, anything that is you have a face-to-face meeting or having a conversation with people, so that you're not able to just kind of like take notes and just let that do it for you, so that you can just kind of tweak the whole thing afterwards. I think it's incredible. I mean, I'm just amazed how advanced technology has gotten so far. Yeah.
I already have a topic for our next conversation. Let us talk about new work then.
A new work?
Yeah.
What do you mean? As in?
New art of working.
Art of working?
Yeah, for example, remote work or hybrid work or stuff like that. For example, I just read an article, so not yet fully, so I'm not really into it, but basically Shopify is changing the art, how they are collaborating.
Ah, right. Okay. Yeah, I've read that. Yeah.
Did you read it?
Yeah, I've heard that they will not have any meetings that requires more than 3 people at the same time. So that doesn't need to have an audience and stuff. I mean, I'm not really sure I agree to a degree, because, we do have a lot of meetings that has more than 3-4 people, but it's not because we are just doing it for the numbers, because we need that meeting to happen between that amount of people, So I'm really not sure if that is, for me, is a game changer. It's like anyone more than 3 people is not going to happen. Well, if I have to have 10 people in a meeting because it's what business requires, or if it's a customer meeting, etc., it is what it is. So I really don't think that as a game changer, in my opinion. So they might see that as something that could work for their business. I don't really see how is that going to work for our business. We have interviews with panel, for example, that requires more than 4 or 5 people, because we want to minimize the time that we spend with the candidates, and then just kind of shorten the process time. Or our pre-sales consultants has got pitches to the customers that has required more than 3 decision makers. Or we have team meetings that requires few hiring managers and 2 talent acquisition persons. So, so I really don't know how that will work. But yeah, I mean, I really love to understand the thought process behind that decision, to be honest. But I really don't know. I mean, for me, it's not like, oh my God, I read this and it's like, oh, that's going to change everyone's life. I don't know. So what do you think? I mean, is this something that you think is going to be like, wow, that's just like, oh, the next level.
Yeah,
I didn't really get the whole concept, to be honest.
yeah. As already mentioned, I didn't read the whole article yet, so I have to do that and come back to you.
Yeah, it
But
was something along the lines of that Shopify won't have meetings with more than 3 people on it, or something like that, something along those lines.
yeah, I think so. I'm curious how it will be going with that, right? But I think the thinking behind is much more interesting. Trying to kind of maybe evolutionize or revolutionize the art or how we are working. I think having the courage to start something like that is much more interesting than the result per se,
Mm-hmm.
because I think this is the right mindset. This is the mindset, organizations should have to, still be, keeping developing themselves, but also, I mean, I wouldn't want to work for a company which don't or doesn't have an approach to this topic like Shopify, right? So a company which says we did it all the time the same way. Why do we need to change? Blah blah blah. I wouldn't want to work for a company like that. So I think the thinking behind is much more interesting, as you also mentioned, as the result per se.
Absolutely. Like I said, I mean, I love to hear the thought process behind it. And you know, I mean, sometimes one process or something that works for one company doesn't necessarily need to work for every company. You know, if you imagine if you were to implement that to ServiceNow, like, well, how can you do that? You know, would it work? Would it work? I don't know. We can try it, but as a concept of the business, I don't really see how it could work for us. You know, because some companies, for example, they're trying 4-day weeks. It's brilliant. You know, it's fantastic. If it works for them, it's fantastic. At some point down the line, maybe we can do something about it. But, you know, I mean, the way I see it is we've got such a flexible work environment anyway. So, you know, if it is going to work for the business, but especially if you're working with the customers, etc., you know, if it's going to have a consequences to the business that you might have to delay the meeting, is it got a deadline, etc., it's difficult, you know. So again, you know, not every concept is going to work for every company. It wouldn't work.
That's true.
You know, if it works for you, that's fantastic. Tell us how you do it and tell me the thought process behind it and see if you can implement it. See if it's going to fit to our business model, you know? So some companies are doing the work they work week and it's working well for them. So maybe they just put in more hours into their 4 days and having that extra day off. That's fantastic. See if you can do that here, you know? But that's what ServiceNow gave 6 extra days off for the well-being, you know? So, all right, well, maybe we can't do that because we're such a big organization and, you know, we got custom commitments, but we can do this in certain dates. And it's been well received by everyone. Then I know a lot of other companies has done something very similar when I talk to candidates in different organizations. And everyone was extremely happy about it, you know? So you just get an extra day off to spend time with your family and stuff. So that concept worked for us. And everyone was very happy about it. So, you know, I think, in my opinion, like, just find something that is going to work for your business model, then just kind of see and try everything that everyone else is doing. So that's the way I see it, really.
Yeah. No, I would really like to talk to, I don't know if you know this person, Jan de Jong. So he's CEO of Web Power Adria, and he's constantly writing posts on LinkedIn, and also among other things about his company, right? And they introduced the 4 days working week, and how it was well received, and so on and so forth. So I'm quite curious about this topic.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I to be honest, I think at some point, because every company is really focusing on the mental health, which is very important, you know, it's like, you know, it's the one thing that you just can't put on a back burner. You know, I think that I'm glad to see that every company is really focusing on their employees' mental health mental well-being, you know, and if this is something that people need, maybe, then why not? You know, you can put more hours into your 4-day week, and then you have 3 days off to spend with yourself, with your family, your friends, etc. And I guarantee you, people will work more and harder in that 4 days, because they will have 3 days to enjoy. And you do that every week, you know.
Maybe also much more committed.
Exactly, yeah. It's all about productivity, right? In the way I see it, I mean, you can work 45 hours a week and then have absolutely no result in the end because you just, I don't know, whatever you've done, you didn't really achieve anything. Or you work 30 hours a week, but in that 30 hours, you achieve so much. People will look at what you achieved, not how many hours you worked, you know? This is how it is here as well. I mean, in my previous job, and I think in most companies, you know, like, I've worked 10 hours. Oh, great. What have you done then? Oh, not a lot. I worked 5 hours, but I've done all of this. That's all that matters. At the end of the day, it's the bottom line, isn't it? It's the end game is what people will look at, the result. You know, I mean, it was incredible here. Like my previous job is the same. It's like there's no micromanagement. It's fantastic. I don't believe in micromanagement, but people will look at the result in the end, right? So you work full week. We didn't talk about it. So what was the end game? What happened in that in the whole week? You know, so if you got something to show, that's great. But in the end, it's like there's no outcome into then. You know, there's going to be some questions to be asked, right? So you know, I think 4-day work can work if it is implemented right. So yeah, let's see. Maybe that will do that for us. I wouldn't mind. You know, I don't know. I would say no.
Yeah, so Bill, if you listen to us, right? Just a recommendation.
Yeah. 4-day week. Let's go. It's all about people. People have spoken.
Maybe for the end, Erkan, I would like to, I mean, it was already with you, right? But maybe I would like to hand over to you. So the last comments, thoughts, do you want something to mention to our audience, to our listeners?
Well, thanks for having me, Christian. I mean, it's been great to chat to you and talk about my experience at ServiceNow and life in recruitment in general. You know, I just wish everyone the best year ever. You know, I think the last 2 years has been a big challenge and a test for everybody. And I wish everyone the best in terms of redundancy and layoffs, and hopefully they will come back from it and things will get better from now on. You know, I'm very positive in terms of market outlook. It always comes. Every challenge brings a positive outcome at some point, right? So I really hope that this is going to change at some point. And if anybody that wants to kind of get a job at ServiceNow, my only advice to you is that apply for the right role that you think you will be right for and build relationships with your talent partners. And trust me, it's going to make your life so much easier, in my opinion. So, yeah, that's my advice. And I just want to say thank you so much to my team as well for everything they've done so far. And I'm really looking forward to what we're all going to achieve this year. So yeah, it's going to be my first year anniversary on May already. It's only 4 months to go. Time flies.
Nothing to add. And thank you, Erkan, also for your time. It was a real pleasure. And already looking forward to our next episode.
Thank you so much, Christian. Well, have a good day, and I'll see you on the other side, okay?
Perfect. Take care.
Bye.